Hey, what's going on, everyone? And all hail to you all, praying all is well with everyone. So today I am making a video. Obviously, I'm making a video, and this is a response video to a video that I saw on YouTube of Kanye West. And so Kanye West is trending once again. When is he not trending, right? Well, this time he's trending for some comments that he made on the Tucker Carlson Show. And the comments that he made are being labeled as anti-Semitic. And I just wanted to make a reaction video to why he would be making these comments, and if there is any foundation to these comments, or if there is any historical reference. And so we'll jump right into the video. I also have a article that is talking about the interview, and also I have a primary source of information that I wanted to present that kind of ties everything in. So let's jump right into it. Here's the video.
Opinion because I thought it would be better for my children. And now you look up and my kids are going to a school that teaches black kids a complicated Kwanzaa. I prefer my kids' new Hanukkah than Kwanzaa. At least it will come with some financial engineering.
You just watched a portion of Kanye West's interview with Tucker Carlson that never aired, that Fox News decided to edit out of the final product, and somehow Motherboard over at Vice News was able to obtain that footage along with a lot more footage that we're about to show you. But before we get to that stuff, I'm just gonna go to you immediately, Waz. Like, what is going on?
Kanye is off his meds. There's no other way to put it, right?
Do other people struggling with bipolar disorder immediately say insane anti-Semitic things?
No, I just think Kanye, because he's able to generate money for people still mess with him. Like other people that might say some messed up things, they just would not be afforded the opportunity to go talk to Tucker Carlson or go to CNBC and talk about how they're gonna tank somebody's stock or whatever. It's just that this guy, one, he commands a lot of attention, and two, like I said, he's earned a lot of money for some prominent people. So people still feel a need to be close to him, or else they would have threw this guy in the trash bin with everybody else who said some just 10% of the craziest things this guy said. But he continues to command attention. His sneakers continue to sell out, and people still want to put him on TV. So we gotta get up on TYT and talk about how out of his mind he is.
Okay, so let's address the fact that his sneakers still continue to sell out, right? Does that say anything about the country?
No, I think it says something about consumer culture, and that it's not binded to any of the stuff that you and I care about, being a good person or whatever. Like you go look up some of the stuff that like a brand like Dolce & Gabbana has done in the past when it comes to racism, sexism, all kinds of messed up stuff, and people still want to deal with them, right? Like I just don't think consumer culture is too concerned about who's a good person and who's not. People want to be attached to cool. For whatever reason, people still associate Kanye's products with cool, and so they buy them. I don't know what else to say. People are heartless.
That's fair.
Anna.
That's fair, because literally every brand has something shady tied to it, right?
and I'm not above it either, right? Like I love Nike as much as the next person, and you can look at some of the practices at where they make their products overseas, the working conditions, how much those people might get paid or might not get paid. Like it goes across the board. Apple, you name it. It's just Kanye. He's a lightning rod, and people enjoy it, and they continue to enjoy it.
What I think is interesting about what's transpiring with Kanye, I think the statements he's making Okay, I'm just going to be honest. I think tying his very clear anti-Semitic statements to his mental health condition is defamatory to others who also have that mental health condition and don't spout hateful anti-Semitic rhetoric.
Sure.
I know that bipolar disorder, and not only do I know, Kanye knows because he himself has said this publicly. When you're not on your meds, you're not getting the treatment you need, you start having paranoid thoughts. And I just find it fascinating that his paranoid thoughts are deeply anti-Semitic, where he thinks that everything is being controlled by Jewish people. He then goes into like this weird, I'm black and I can't be anti-Semitic because all blacks are Jews. I think that's a reference to this weird fringe group.
Yeah. It's I think it's a reference to like these Eastern African people who we don't need to get into what he's talking about.
I'm not going to get into it, especially since I don't know their
I don't want to get into that either, but I will say this, and I don't think I'm breaking news here on TYT. I think a lot of prominent black people have Jews on the brain. I really do think so.
Really? Why?
Yeah, there's just an obsession with this idea that Jewish people are clearly people who were oppressed in this country, who have made a way for themselves financially. And a lot of prominent people who are black, when they reach certain echelons, they find that they are surrounded by a lot of Jewish people who are also successful. So I find that a lot of prominent black people are just obsessed with how did Jewish people do this, right? Like, how did Jewish people go from being a legitimately persecuted group of people in this country to not anymore? In America, I'm not talking about any other place, but here in America, the Jews have made a way for themselves. And I think prominent black people, just a lot of them, not all of them, are obsessed with the Jewish story here in America and how so many of them could be so successful financially and prominent.
Well,
all right. So a lot was said, but I'm to keep the video from getting too long, I'll start with Kanye West, his initial comments. So, and just talking from the excerpt from the beginning of this video, he spoke about his children. He spoke about what they were learning in school, which was a complicated Kwanzaa, he said. And he would rather them learn Hanukkah. And he mentioned that at least it had some financial engineering, right? So, I mean, that really doesn't sound anti-Semitic to me. But I don't think they're looking at it from the angle that I'm looking at it, which first, Kanye West, he was married to Kim Kardashian. And if I'm not mistaken, Kim Kardashian, her father was Rob Kardashian. I want to say the lawyer for OJ or some type of attorney, or he had some ties. But, and if I'm not mistaken, and correct me if I'm wrong, but they have Jewish ties or some type of Jewish roots or genealogy. If you go back, there is some Jewish ties there. So if Kanye West is coming from a family perspective and coming from I want my children to know my culture, and I also want them to identify with my wife's culture, then where is the anti-Semitic, right? And that's with anyone. You know, if you marry someone, essentially you marry their customs, you marry their culture, and you both take on each other's ideologies in a sense, right? And so if it's from that standpoint, then yes, you would I see why Kanye will want his children to learn about Hanukkah and learn about, finances, and maybe in the way Jewish people, I guess, work together and do business together. So there's no anti-Semitic comment in that. Now, I haven't watched the full video, so I do understand that there might be other parts where Kanye may have been, that might have been more blatant. But anyways, that's kind of beside the point. The real question of the matter is, what's going on with this idea of black Jews? And so I have an article that deals with this particular interview, and it goes into more in depth. So this article is it's from the Jewish Telegraphic Agency. Black people are actually Jews: the historical origins of Kanye West's inflammatory comments. So you see who it's by, you see the date, and you see the time. So it says, in 1892, an Oklahoma preacher born into slavery received a series of divine revelations that compelled him to launch a new church, and with it, a new religious movement in the United States. So the Oklahoma preacher they're talking about is named William Saunders Crowdy. And the new church is called Church of God and Saints of Christ. And from that church spurred Black Israelism and Black Hebrew Israelite movement. So the church essentially was or spearheaded or trailblazed the movement in the late 1900s. It's trailblazed the movement. And essentially what we see today is essentially an offshoot of the movement that William Saunders Crowdy brought in the late 1800s. Okay, it says, more than a century later, the movement's central tenets that African Americans are the genealogical descendants of the ancient Israelites has repeatedly found its way into popular culture through the expressions of non-Jewish African American entertainers and athletes such as Kendrick Lamar, Kodak Black, Nick Cannon, and Deshaun Jackson. So as we see, Kanye is not the only one who is speaking and referencing themselves or know about the ideal of Black Americans being Jews or the true Jews. But we do see that anytime an entertainer or someone of influence does speak about this subject, they're automatically labeled as anti-Semitic. And their character, their intelligence is attacked. And but all of these entertainers or people of influence, they're not just getting this from nowhere, And as we can see, this idea of the Negroes of America or the quote-unquote African American being the true Jews, it's a concept that's been around for over 100 years. Now, the question of why this is not common knowledge, or at least the movement of William Saunders Crowdy is not in our history books. It's not in mainstream academia. That's a whole nother question. But I'm just trying to give context to what Kanye may be referencing. All right. So let's go down a little further. So it says here, in the 19th century, two former slaves turned preachers, Bishop William Saunders Crowdy of Oklahoma and Bishop William Christian of Arkansas, received the same message from God. The biblical Israelites were black and African Americans. The biblical Israelites were black and African Americans are the true children of Israel. The message was revolutionary. All right, so Bishop William Christian, I believe he brought about established the Church of the Living God. And so, of course, Bishop William S. Crowdy started Church of God and Saints of Christ. All right, so yeah, this movement in the late 19th century, it was revolutionary. The message was revolutionary, especially many of the American Negroes were just not even 40 years out of slavery. And for this message of that they were the true children of Israel, that message was empowering. It was revolutionary. It was a true movement. And yeah, so this is not a new concept. Like I said, we're talking over 120 years. And yeah, so right. Oh, so let's read this. Eventually in Chicago, Crowdy earned the nickname Black Elijah, and his followers were referred to as Black Jews. Crowdy incorporated the Church of God and Saints of Christ in Kansas in 1896. The church still operates today in the United States and Jamaica. There are also churches there are also churches in South Africa, and there is a church in England, I believe. And so Prophet William S. Crowdy was referred to or regarded as a world evangelist, and his doctrine reached it stretched very far. It stretched around the world. And so today you're seeing a lot of offshoots and remnants of that initial movement, which I feel is great. You know, it's a great thing for quote unquote African Americans or Negroes, Americans, to come into the knowledge of this movement and be able to identify themselves with this movement, and also identifying themselves with the Bible and God's law. I think it's an incredible thing, because there is only blessings that come with keeping God's commandments. I mean, as in terms of a people, I mean, there's only blessings that can come from that. But yeah, I'm going to also bring up a primary source, which, will tie this all in. Something that, a primary source from that time, that speaks about William S. Crowdy, of course. All right. You see the date. The paper is the Salt Lake Herald in October 27, 1907. Sunday, October 27th, 1907. Of course, that is William Crowdy, William S. Crowdy, the colored Elijah. And we can get into that Elijah word a little more, but I'm going to have to save that for another video. All right, I'm just going to drop down to this paragraph here. It says, Geography by Revelation. As Joseph Smith discovered in establishing Mormonism, present-day revelation is a conventional cloak for many teachings and practices. Thus, Prophet Crowdy says, with Brother John Jasper, that the sun do move. He knows it because the Bible says so and because it has been revealed to him. Similarly, he knows that the earth is flat and square. All right, so we're talking also, geography. Something that is definitely not taught in school about earth being flat and square. But as he said, the Bible says so. Also, that Adam was a black man. And he says in quotation marks, "Did you ever see any white earth? ? God made Adam of earth, as were also the patriarchs and Jews. There is ludicrously fearful, fearful and wonderful exegesis of scripture in all of the Crowdyite addresses, or the Crowdyite addresses. Crowdy and his people are Jews, he declares, for the true Jews are Negroes. Therefore, they keep Jewish Sabbath, use Jewish calendar, observe imitations of Jewish feasts, practice what they believe to be Jewish rites, and decorate themselves in regalia that is brilliant beyond the Hebrew priest robes." If y'all can see that. Yep. Hebrew priestess robes. But yeah, that's I just wanted to give a little context of what Kanye West was speaking about, and also give some a reference as to where he might have got this information. Also pointing out that this information is not new information. Now, it might not be common knowledge, but this is not new. There have been many debates as to who the Israelites are, and William Saunders Crowdy in the late 1800s, early 1900s, he pointed out that the Negroes, or quote unquote African Americans, are in fact the lost tribes of Israel, and they are the true Jews. So that's all for today. Until next time, I look forward to sharing another video with information about this prophet. And for now, I'll say peace be unto you all, and you'll have a blessed rest of your day wherever you are in the world. And remember, tribe up.